Hey guys, I just want to talk about why I think it's important to choose a major that you love in college as opposed to something that's going to make you a lot of money. And this is just speaking from personal experience. Some people just, their goal is to be financially successful. For me, I find contentment in doing things that make me happy. Um, so I've always been an artist to some extent. From when I was little, I would write, I would draw, I would read. Um, then I got to college. I went to college early because I graduated high school early, and I was told I needed to do something, so you should just go to college. So my first major was English, just because I had always read my whole life and had no idea what major I actually wanted to do. Um, I absolutely hated being an English major, and I didn't want to read for a very long time after that. After that, it was psychology, and that was just because I took a psychology class and I thought it was interesting, and I thought, maybe this is the major for me. After that, it was, I was a business major, and I hated it so much that I ended up failing classes because I just didn't care enough to actually do my work and turn it in. And I graduated high school with a 3.9 GPA, so I know that I'm intelligent enough to keep good grades in college. I just didn't have the motivation to. And business was definitely the easiest major that I had. You had to only had to keep C's or D's to pass classes, and I still failed them. Um, so after 3.5 years in college, I've racked up 3.5 years of student debt that I absolutely didn't need. So from a young age, I knew I loved art, but it was also not something I was homeschooled, so my parents didn't really know much about teaching art. I took a couple of art classes, but I never really had that much formal training. Um, my parents wanted me to do something that made money, so they were never like, oh, you should be an artist. And I didn't really know that much about careers in art. So my actual major is a fine arts degree with a concentration in graphic design. Um, so I dropped out of school completely. I was just racking up debt. I was miserable, failing classes. And I worked a job that I absolutely hated for 6 months. It was barely over minimum wage. I had moved out of my parents' house and was barely making rent, really wasn't making ends meet. Um, it was just miserable, and since I wasn't in school, I didn't have a time where this isn't forever, this is going to end. So it just wasn't a good place. So I lost that job unexpectedly, and ended up having to move back in with my parents, didn't know what I was going to do. But during that time, I spent a lot of time just drawing, and I remembered how much I absolutely love art. And so I needed to do something. And this is a really bad place for jobs, so there weren't very many jobs around here. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to school. And I was like, but for what? So I was looking into it, and after being broke my whole life, I was like, I don't really want to be a broke artist. And then I realized that there were actually careers in graphic design, and I could still be an art major and make money. So that's how I chose my major. It's a lot of work. It's a really difficult major. On weekdays, I spend about 8 hours doing homework, and then on weekends and days that I don't have work, 10 to 12 hours. That's not the whole semester, it's just coming up to finals, but it's a lot of work. But I realized that I enjoy doing the work. I love even just the homework. It's really difficult, but I'm really passionate about my major, and I love doing it. So spending 8 to 10 hours working on things that I love every day isn't hard. It's not something that I hate. So if you're ever in that place where you're in a major that you don't like, just remember you're going to be spending most of your life doing that for at least 8 hours a day. So you really want to do something that you won't hate, that won't make you miserable. It's important to be able to pay bills, but doing something that you can be content in is way more important in my opinion. So that was just my little ramble for today. Thank you for watching and have a great day.